Shabbat Shalom, everybody here. All right, this is the official Mashara Yashar Office of Torah reading for so-called January 30th, 2021. The name of this Torah portion is Beshalach, which means in sending. The Torah portion for this week, Beshalach, for this Shabbat, which is every 7 days, will be Exodus chapter 13, verse 17, through Exodus chapter 17, verse 16. And the Haftarah will be Judges chapter 4, verse 4, through Judges chapter 5, verse 31. And the Basura, aka Gospel, will be Matthew chapter 14, verse 22 through verse 33. I will now read the first verse of this Torah portion, from which it gets its name in Ibariyah. Wa Yahya Beshalach Paraih Athaim Wala Anaham Alahayim Darak Aratza Parashah. Cain did not lead them by way of the land of the Philistines, although it was near. A summary of this week's Parashah. Pharaoh pursues the Israelites, chases us once we go into the wilderness. The Reed Sea splits. Yashar Allah crosses the sea. Your forefathers and your foremothers crossed the sea, while the Egyptian army gets drowned. Marsha and Yashar Allah sing a special song of thanks, thanking Yahweh for this miracle. Yashar Allah complains about not having food for them to eat. So-called Europeans that are in power around the globe today, also a lot of them call themselves Jews. Amalek attacks the Israelites, Yashar Allah, and gets defeated. The first reading is going to be Shemot, or Shamwath, Exodus, chapter 13, verse 17, through Exodus chapter 14, verse 8. And we've already saluted in all of the readers that were present once we started. And we'll, for time's sake, we'll go ahead and start the first reading. Exodus chapter 13, verse 17. From Zayatan. Okay.
And it came to pass when Pharaoh had let the people go, that Elohim led them not through the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For Elohim said, lest peradventure the people repent when they see war, and they return to Egypt. But Elohim led the people about the way of the wilderness of the Reed Sea, and the children of Yashar went up hardest out of the land of Yashar, at the land of Egypt. And Mashah took the bones of Joseph with him, for he had straitly sworn the children of Yashar, saying, Elohim will surely visit you, and ye shall carry up my bones away hence with you. And they took their journey from Succoth, and camping in Etham, in the edge of the wilderness, and Elohim went before them day by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them the way, and by night a pillar of fire to give them light to go by day and night. He He took not away the pillar of the cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night from before the people. Parashah,
Kalashra Debar Yahweh.
Parashah the Bar Yahweh,
Kalashra Debar Yahweh.
Nashal Nashmai.
Nashawa Nashemai.
Bar Yahweh said,
All Yahweh said,
what we doing here?
what we doing here. All right, so this is pretty, straightforward. Notice that the Most High, He led us through a way that would seem more difficult for us, but it was difficult going through the desert, the wilderness, but it wasn't as difficult as the battle we would have faced if we would have went into the land of the Philistines. So Yahweh knows what's best for us as a nation. And we can't just, think that the easiest way, the shortest way is always the best way, as we see right here. The shortest way would be just to go up to the land of Canaan. But Yahweh didn't do that. Yahweh led us around, right, in a longer direction to get us where He wanted us to go. And we know from reading the Torah that the trip that we took was a trip of approximately 40 days with a large multitude of 1 million plus people. So it took us 40 days the way that Yahweh sent us. He could have led us directly to the land of Canaan. So here we can understand the moral of this is Yahweh is not going to always do things for you in the way that you want them to be done. So be careful what you pray for. Pray that His will be done. Because if we would have went toward the land of the Philistines, the Most High, the scripture says that people would have gotten afraid of the war, of facing the war. And if they would have done that, we would have been slaughtered. So the Most High led us from Sukkoth, which is Sakwath in Hebrew, which means boots. So this was kind of like the beginning of us dwelling in boots, because we left from Sukkoth and we encamped at the edge of the wilderness. We set up a camp at the edge of the wilderness. Okay, so this is what we understand from these scriptures. Also, we took up the body of Joseph from Egypt. We didn't leave them inside the tomb. We took Joseph. Chances are, odds are, we took our other brothers, forefathers that died also. A lot of them at least. Because Joseph built pyramids for his brothers to be dwelt in. The Maccabees also built pyramids for their brothers and families to be buried in also. It's written in the book of Maccabees. And when we look at the archaeology at the city of Avaris, there was a city of Avaris and they had 12 tombs, I think it had 13 pyramids that were built, all right, for Joseph, his 11 brothers, and for our father, Yaakov Jacob. That's Avaris, Avaris. You can look it up, okay? So Yahweh had a pillar in the cloud by day and fire at night. This pillar and this cloud was Yahweh Shi HaMashiach. Right? He is the one that was with us the whole time that we were in the wilderness. Okay, next reading. So now we go to the second Aliyah. All right, now let me just summarize the first Aliyah first. After Pharaoh sent the Israelites from his land, okay, Yahweh did not allow them to take the most direct route, like I just said, because they weren't ready for a confrontation and they would be frightened if they had to face the Philistines. Okay, so that shows us that a lot of times being in captivity made our people not ready for war, because we didn't have to go to war as a nation. The Egyptians were fighting for us to defend their territory, but we didn't have to go to war to fight. So a lot of brothers think they bad and think they tough and all of this, but you never seen no bloody battlefield. You may be an excellent marksman. You may be an excellent shooter. You may be excellent with the sword. But the culture we grew up in America is not a war culture. The culture we grew up in Mexico is not a war culture. The culture we grew up with in Belize is not a war culture. Now, some of the brothers that were with the Sandinistas or the Contras in Nicaragua and Honduras and El Salvador, those were war cultures. You see, but we don't come from a war war culture in the times that we live in now. So Yahweh knows best. Yahweh knows best. You know? So Yahweh, he said, we're not going to go for frontal attack against the Philistines. We're going to go around another way. So Yahweh calls us to return to Egypt, taking a short route. Okay? And Yahweh, you know, we would have returned to Egypt on that short route if we would have went ahead and said, let's go right up there now. Okay? But Yahweh took us around a circular route, which led us to where he wants us to be at, with the pillar of cloud during the day and the fire by night. So Yahweh commanded Yashar'Allah to backtrack and to set up camp along the Red Sea. All right? By this, I mean, it seems like they were thinking, we would think that we were lost. And that's probably what made the Egyptians say, okay, one of the reasons, let's go get them. They left and now they coming back. So Yashar'Allah, we followed Yahweh's instructions, and then bam, the Egyptian armies, they tried to come after us, and they thought that we were cornered. Now in this second aliyah, which is only 5 verses, Yashar'Allah notices that the Egyptians, the Africans, are approaching us, and they get scared, they panic, all right? And then they ask, is it because there was no graves in Egypt? You brought us out here to die in the desert? And then, you know, they were basing at Parashah, and Parashah said, don't be afraid. Stand firm and see what Yahweh's salvation that he's going to do for you today. Yahweh will fight for you. All right, so just relax and keep quiet and watch. So that's going to be Exodus chapter 14, verse 9. Exodus chapter 14, verse 9 through 14. And you can actually go to verse 25 if you want to. That's the second portion. But you'll have to stop at 14 and let me know whether you want to continue or whether you want to stop. All right, so we're going to start in Exodus chapter 9. That's Exodus chapter 13, verse 9. Exodus chapter 14, verse 9. Go ahead. Anyway, Exodus chapter 14, verse 9. Go ahead.
But the Egyptians pursued after them all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh and his horsemen and his army, and overtook them, encamping by the sea beside Pi-hahiroth, before Baal-Zephon. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Yashar'Allah lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Yashar'Allah cried unto Yahweh. And they said unto Moshe, because there is no graves in Egypt to carry us forth out of Egypt, is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness.
Right.
And Moshe said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of Yahweh, which he will show to you this day, today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. Yahweh shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace.
All right, so let's comment on those verses, verse 9 through 14. So they don't have any military hardcore experience, and they see the Egyptian armies rolling toward them. And that's how a lot of our people are today. They think that all of a sudden, if America decided to unleash their National Guard, their CIA, their FBI, all right, their Army, their Navy, Air Force, and Marines, do you know how quickly the neighborhoods of Yashar'Allah would be destroyed? How quickly we would fall? So it's not a physical battle that we're fighting against those that oppose the laws of Yahweh. It's a spiritual battle. We cannot win this war in the physical, pound for pound, equipment for equipment, tactic for tactic. Sure, you may have some. For every one of our brothers that is an Israelite, for every one of our brothers that's an Israelite and knows he's an Israelite, for every one of our brothers that's an Israelite, knows he's an Israelite, and is walking uprightly in what he knows in the Bible, how many do you think these Gentile armies have for every one that we have? How many do you think that? So it's not a soldier for soldier battle we're fighting. We're fighting a spiritual warfare. So when you see brothers attacking us for what we're trying to do according to the Torah, what we're trying to do in our offices, it's a spiritual attack. It's not a physical attack. Because you have no weight if the office of Torah is saying we have to keep the Torah no matter what, and somebody's saying no, let's vote about it. That's not a physical battle. It's a spirit telling that person to say that. That ain't the spirit of Christ saying take a vote on whether you're going to break your word or not. That's not the spirit of Christ making that person say that. It wasn't the spirit of Hamashiach that said, okay, y'all turn around, let's go fight these Egyptians. It was the spirit of Yahweh that said, keep going, I got you. Keep doing what I told y'all to do. Don't worry about the Egyptians coming up behind you. So we don't got to worry about any enemies from inside or from outside. We don't have to worry about any enemies that we have trying to face us or trying to oppose us, physical or spiritual. Okay? So then we got in our flesh. Well, because we didn't have no place to die in Egypt, you brought us out to this big area, you know, the wilderness, so we can die out here. All right, but Moses said, don't even worry, you're going to make it do this. And that's what we have to understand, don't worry. Your problems you have with money, your problems you have with people's personalities, all that's going to be brought into a way that you can deal with it if you stay on your righteous path. And I say righteous path because you're still walking on it. You haven't arrived at the destination yet. But Yahweh is going to bring every work into judgment, whether it be good or whether it be bad. And throughout this walk as Israelites, we have good people and we have bad people. We have people that want to do things the way that they were done in Egypt, and we got people that want to do things the way that they were done in the ancient Yasharallah. That's what we have. So those that want to do things the way that they were done in Egypt, that have a captivity mindset, that have an oppressor's mindset, and that try to oppress and lord over the flock of Israel. Those of us that slip up, those of us that make a mistake, those that do evil things and commit abominable acts and commit acts of high judgments of death for doing such things, we still have a time to repent. We still have a chance to repent for what we've done wrong while there's breath in our body. So we always have to humble ourselves and ask Yahweh, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us, but save us from evil. You see, that's a very powerful prayer. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, meaning protect me from anything that's going to take away from the work that I'm trying to do for you, from the life I want to live for you, from the way that I've seen that I must walk in from you, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shech HaMashiach. Okay, so that's the second portion. And Moses said, you know, just relax, keep still. Yahweh shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. So how does Yahweh fight for us in this modern day and age? You have to go into the counsel of Yahweh. You have to go into what did Paul do? What did Yahweh Shai do? What did Moses do? What did the Maccabees do? Can I respond like that in kind? Can I respond in the spirit of what they did? Can I respond in the moral of their actions? Can I replicate I do what they did? Can I imitate them? Paul said, mark the perfect man and copy him, imitate him, do like he did. So we look at Yahushua, we look at what the disciples did. We look at Jeremiah, and we see that all these men were what? They were hated by the authorities in Israel. You see? Nebuchadnezzar, when we went into captivity, all right, even though he slipped up, but Nebuchadnezzar said, man, on a high level, our own people, kill him, throw him in jail, murder them. That's why Yahushua said that our fathers murdered the prophets. Which of our fathers murdered the prophets? What's he talking about? Was it the layman walking down the street saying, hey, I'm going to go and murder this prophet? Or was it those that had the power to make decisions and to control the political landscape of Israel? It was the latter. Those that had the power that the Most High, all right, had let be over the flock of Israel, those are the ones that came after the prophets and murdered the prophets. So don't ever think, because somebody is in leadership position in the nation of Yasha'Allah, because they come from a camp that's been around for 1 year, or a camp that's been around, going back to the 1800s, a congregation or a school that's been around for that long. Don't ever think that just because that person says they represent the Most High, don't ever think that they can be above reproach or they can be above falling into temptation. Because as they say, power corrupts. And what they say? Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. So Yahushua came to check and balance. And Moses came, Pharaoh, you ain't too big to fall. And if the Most High is no respecter of person, that means that we as elders are not too big to fall when we're wrong. And it becomes a situation of, 1 Peter 5:5. You younger submit to the older, yea, all of you submit. You younger submit to the elder, yea, all of you submit one to another. Meaning when the elder is wrong, you show him he's wrong, you tell him he's wrong, and he takes the correction. And if not, we're gonna crumble. You see? The Most High put everything in place already. He said, Moses, this is what you're going to do. Moses did it. So no matter what's going on, what do we learn from that? No matter what's going on, we have to follow the leadership of two main people, Yahushua HaMashiach and Moses. Because Moses is the one that's going to accuse us to the Father of whether we did the right thing or whether we did the wrong thing. You see? So we have to keep following Moses and keep following Christ, Yahushua. Put Yahushua in the middle of every conversation you have. Every thought that you have. That's why the scripture says, let this mind be in you that was also in Hamashiach Yahushua. So you have to meditate upon the words of the Most High all the time. Is this what Yahushua would want to do? And once you understand, okay, he would do this, substantiate it with the word of the Most High. Substantiate it with what the Torah says, what the Beshalach says, what does the Tanakh say. You have to substantiate what you think and you feel and your opinion. It may sound good to somebody else, but does it line up with the word of Yahweh? You see, does it line up with the word of? I can make a striking argument from any perspective. Just put a bunch of scriptures together. You see, it says that they're going to be wearing white. It says your clothes shall always be white. It said the angel came and he was shining. So we should always wear white. I can make that argument. But does the Most High say you have to wear all white all the time? Am I adding to his law? Yes, I'll be adding to his law. You see that? I'll be adding to his law. But you have to walk in what Moses is telling us and walk in what our master. Yahushua is our master. And our master was hated by our government. That's the simple fact of the matter. Even after his resurrection and his ascension into heaven, into the throne to sit beside Yahweh, his disciples were chased. They were sought after. The government of our people tried to murder the disciples. They tried to murder those that follow Yahweh Shai. Why? Because they didn't like the message of Yahweh Shai. They didn't want to abide by the Torah. They didn't want to abide by the commandments that they were given. They wanted to follow their own traditions. So are we going to follow the traditions of men? Or are we going to follow Moses across this sea of reeds, what they call the Red Sea? Are we going to be afraid of what the Egyptians are trying to do to us and give up the struggle to move forward? It's difficult, it's hard. We're going to give up. Life is hard. I can't make it. These commandments are hard. My job and my housing situation, my transportation situation, we're going to let that be the distraction, or we're going to move forward in a word of Yahweh. Because we will stand before judgment one day, and there will be no excuse that you can give. You know what? I understand you broke this commandment, but come on in here. Come on into the kingdom. Well done, thou good and faithful servant, is what you should hear. Good and faithful. Good meaning you're doing what you are supposed to do. That's good in the eyes of the Most High. Faithful meaning that you have faith. You're faithful to the relationship that you made, that you promised to the Most High and to his son Yahweh. You made that promise when you repented of your sins, when you turned away from your sins. So you have to be faithful and upkeep your word, right? You have to be faithful to your word, okay? So you want to read the third one also? From 15 to 25. Okay, so from verse 15 to 25, Yahweh instructed Masha, speak to the children of Yasha'Allah and let them go, let them travel. So Yahweh told Masha to stretch out his staff over the sea and divide it, and the Israelites should proceed through the split sea. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh, when I will be glorified through Pharaoh, through his chariots, and through his horsemen. Meanwhile, at the same time, the pillar of fire that normally led the Israelites moved to the rear of the Israelite migration. And it was protecting the Israelites and plunging the Egyptians into full darkness. And we had light, okay? Masha stretched out his staff and the sea divided. And the Israelites walked on a seabed on dry land, all right? The Egyptians chased us into the sea. Now, when we walked into this sea, the scriptures tell us, Wisdom of Solomon, that the grass started to grow. It was a canopy of green, beautiful vegetation that we walked on. You know how when you walk in, you've been around walking, and it's hard cement, hard ground, and rocks and all that, and then, man, you step in the grass, and the grass is thick and it's cushy, and your feet just kind of sinks into it, not like you're walking on a hard road outside, but soft, where you can't even hear your footsteps anymore. So we walked on green, beautiful vegetation, okay? So the third Aliyah is chapter 14, verse 15 through 25. All right, go ahead.
Exodus chapter 14, verse 15. And Yahweh said unto Masha, wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Yasha'Allah, that they may go forward. But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it. And the children of Yasha'Allah shall go on dry ground to the midst of the sea. And I, behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, that they shall follow them, and I will give me honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all his hosts, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the angel of on high, which went before the camp of Yasharon, removed and went behind them, and the pillar of cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Yasharon. And it was a cloud and darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that the one came not near the other all the night. And Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahweh caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters divided, and the waters were divided. And the children of Yasharon went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all of Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen, and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels, and drave them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, Let us flee from the face of Yasharon, for Yahweh fighteth for them against the Egyptians. And that was verse 25.
Okay, so Yahweh was fighting for us. We didn't have to fight this particular battle, but as we started to face, as the Most High equipped us, and our hearts began to be ready for warfare, Yahweh sent us into warfare. So if we don't learn anything from our captivity in Egypt, we have to learn the fact that captivity makes us weak. Not being in power, not being able to defend your nation, it makes us weak. So when we try to do things as a nation, we have to shed that weakness. We have to shed our feelings, our emotions that hold us back from doing what the scriptures say is the right thing to do. You have to become hardened against disobedience, and you have to become more obedient to the Most High. So we were just learning, we're a baby nation now. We come out of captivity, we've just been in captivity. Everything was given to us. They gave us straw to make the bricks, they gave us cucumbers, they gave us fish, they gave us garlic. We were eating all kinds of food in there. It wasn't like the captivity in America. It wasn't like the captivity in America. We were working, but then after a while, they started to beat us down. And brothers started to remember them good old days. Oh man, remember before in Egypt, we had garlic, we had fish, we had cucumbers, we had everything we needed and wanted. And they wanted to return into captivity. So we have to always make sure that our people's mindset does not imitate or reflect the things that the so-called white man does. The white man's really a dictator. He's really a bully. He doesn't go by what he wrote in his own law. He doesn't go by agreements that he made with any of our people. He wants to sit down and try to renegotiate once we've made a treaty. Once we've made a peace agreement, he wants to come back and try to renegotiate it on his end, and wants to force us to bow down to his desire to take more from us and to reconsider what we've already agreed to. So we can't do that amongst each other. How can you trust me if I make an agreement with you? And in every agreement I make, I say, I don't believe that anymore. I don't follow that agreement anymore. I want to talk about more land. I want to talk about the measuring system that we use for the boundary and the border is wrong. We have another measurement, and that another measurement is going to put everything in the way that I want it. But we agreed to this measurement right here, and we both said that this was sound. You see? Now, if one side doesn't want to help out, then you can't renegotiate it. That's how contracts and agreements are made. Yahweh said do this, that's it. There's no renegotiating. When Yahweh said do this and we didn't do it, he punished us. He didn't renegotiate with us. You see? So the Egyptians, all right, the Egyptians were looked at by Yahweh. And they might have seen it, I don't know. They might have seen him looking at him. Scripture doesn't say. All right, so Moses lifted up his staff and he put it out. And when he put it out, east wind came and the waters split. The waters split. And we walked across on that dry land. All right, so as we walked across on that dry land, people were probably thinking and feeling some certain kind of way. They got a wall of water beside you of a wide, deep sea. How you gonna feel walking? Yahweh brought us through it. Always understand that Yahweh brought us through it. Now, everybody he brought through didn't make it into the wilderness. Didn't make it into the promised land, did they? See, we know the whole history now. Everybody that he brought through, the only people that made it through into the promised land were those that were 19 years old and under. Nobody 20 years old and over made it through the wilderness. Nobody. So all these things he's doing for us, we had what? Listen what we had. We had captains of 10s, captains of 50, 100, and 1,000. We had judges and officers. We had elders. But guess what? Ain't none of them make it to the promised land. So what did all of that mean? So they just had to do their job. They had to be happy doing their job because they knew that they weren't going to get that reward because the Most High said, y'all going to die in the wilderness. But they were there to hold their post and hold their position and to help guide the children of Israel to that final destination. But over the years, the Most High, he killed them off. He killed them off, one by one. So stay in your job, but they will receive their reward in the resurrection. But they didn't make it physically into that promised land. But in the resurrection, they'll be there if they passed away righteously. There is a reward for the righteous. Okay? All right, so this the fourth aliyah is Exodus chapter 14, verse 26 through Exodus chapter 15, verse 26. And we didn't salute him in, so we have to salute him in. All right, so the fourth aliyah is Exodus 14:26 through 15:26. Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea and the waters that had been standing like walls, and they fell on the Egyptians, and they drowned all of the Egyptians. Moshe led the Israelites to sing a song, praising Yahweh for the miracle that had just happened. And then Morah, or Miriam, Moshe's sister, she led the women in song and dance with music, and the Israelites traveled on through the desert. And we journeyed for 3 days without finding any water. And then when we arrived at the area of Marah, see that? That's that. Marah and Miriam is the same root. It means bitter. All right, so we had a bitterness, rejoicing because of the joy of being delivered. Then that same bitterness turned around and bit us when we became bitter because we didn't trust in the Most High. All right. We arrived in Marah, where there was water, but the water was bitter. But then Moshe, through the power of Yahweh, he sweetened the water. All right, so Exodus chapter 14:26 through Exodus chapter 15, verse 26.
Exodus chapter 14, verse 26. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, stretch out thine hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen. And Mashah stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to his strength when the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it, and Yahweh overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. And the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the hosts of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them. But the children of Yashar'alah walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. Thus Yahweh saved Yashar'alah on that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Yashar'alah saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore. And Yashar'alah saw that great...
And when we go into, the Most High is going to do this again, but you have to understand, those of you that are in America, the Most High says there's going to be dead bodies all around in America, which is modern day Babylon. This you cannot deny, because that is the land where everybody is expected to come to. All nations from all different walks of life, all religions are welcome in America. America is modern day land of confusion, okay? So the Most High is going to destroy America and those that uphold the thing that America upholds. But voting for Clinton or Joe Biden, that's against the laws of the Most High. Would you vote for Satan? If you had a Satan worshiper that just a little bit bad and a Satan worshiper that was a good bad, which one would you vote for? None. All right? So these guys out here doing all types of things against children, against our people. They're secret policies. All right? First thing you do is do X, Y, Z. But the wickedness that was done by Donald Trump, by Barack Obama, by Clinton, by Bush, that wickedness has not been overturned and undone. They have not released the political prisoners. They have not released, what's his brother's name? Amir Abu Jamal. They have not released Leonard Peltier. They have not released these people. They murdered Tukey Williams. Even though people, they would, the evidence said that he didn't commit these things that they accuse him of. You see? So they still murdering them. They didn't say, okay, Assad Shakur, we don't got you on our hit list no more. They didn't say that.
They still want it.
They didn't say, you know what, here's y'all 40 acres no more. They didn't say, okay, Native American Indians from the tribe of Gad, here's Oklahoma back. So what are you all happy about Joe Biden for? What are you happy about Clinton or Obama or Donald Trump for? When all of them are doing wickedness against our people and they don't undo the wickedness when they get in office. Nobody said we're not going to do school districts by county or by city districts anymore. We're going to do every school in America is going to get an equal amount of money per student. They didn't say that. They didn't say that. You see that? So what are they doing? So the Most High is going to destroy that place, man. America will be destroyed. When you go into the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse 10, the Most High said he's going to destroy Egypt as before and bring us out and deliver us from Egypt, which is talking about, when you go into Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 7 and 8, that's talking about America, which is called the land of the north in the Bible because it sits in North America. It sits in North America, a continent just in the north. So this is what Yahweh has said. This is what he said. He said he's going to bring us out of Egypt, and he's going to destroy Egypt and bring plagues on Egypt as before. And he's going to bring us up out of the land of the north. That's what he says. So don't get caught up in the American political system. Don't get caught up in who's doing what and what's their policy. And you so-called Black, Latino, Hispanic people with your strong Judeo-Christian moral values, your guy took a man a man
Born a man.
that was a brown-skinned man, took him out of his position dealing with the U.S. Department of Health and put in a man that had an operation to have breast put onto his chest and make himself into a woman. And that's who you elected to put into your leadership so that they can get a bunch of sexual perverts and freaks in there. So
Multi-transgender.
all of y'all got duped.
Man.
American politics is a bucket of pus.
Man.
And when you go out and vote, you drinking that pus. You drinking that blood. You drinking that filth, that feces, that caca blood and pus. Filthy abominations. And you try to make an excuse for it. You see? So when it comes to the children of Yasharallah, the Most High said, don't even deal with that system of Egypt. See, we didn't go into the wilderness and imitate how the Egyptians did things. We said, no, the Most High gave us a whole new system. And what was the foundation of that system? What's the foundation of it? One word. Torah.
Torah.
That's the whole foundation. Because once you say Yahweh, okay, what about Yahweh? Once you say 10 Commandments, what about the 10 Commandments? Once you say the Torah, that's Yahweh included in it. That's the 10 Commandments included in it. That's Yahweh Shai is included in the Torah also.
6 and 13.
You see? That's Yahweh included in it, and his son, Yahweh Shai is included in it. So don't fall for the okie doke. Within Israel or outside of Israel. Know where your leaders stand on what and why. See, what happens is that sometimes you end up getting a bunch of people that just want to follow what he's saying, but they can't show you what he's saying. But I think he made the best, follow him, but why? Shh, let him be quiet and let you tell us what it is about what he said. You see? In talking leadership, I'm not talking about some guy off the street. I'm talking those that are leaders should know what position they have and why. And Moses knew that he was fighting for the freedom and the liberation and the security of the children of Yasharallah. Okay? I continue reading.
Exodus chapter 14, verse 31. And Yasharallah saw that great work which Yahweh did upon the Egyptians, and the people feared Yahweh and believed Yahweh and his servant Mashah. Kal Shirah Bar Yahweh.
Kala Shara Adwa Yahweh.
Na Yahweh Na Shemai.
Na Yahweh Na Shemai.
All that Yahweh said,
All that Yahweh said,
we doing here.
what we doing here. So we saw the work of Yahweh, and that's what's wrong with us now. We don't see the Torah as the mighty work of Yahweh anymore. We think that it's only going to be something physical. The Torah is a master government document that tells you, do not go away from this document. Do not go away from this agreement. Do not go away from what it's telling you to do. And our people chose to do that anyway. And when we chose to do that, the Most High let us get conquered by our enemies, robbed by our enemies. All right, chapter 15, verse 1 through 26.
Then sang Mashah and the children of Yasharallah this song
So, go ahead.
unto Yahweh, and spake, saying, I will sing unto Yahweh, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. Yahweh is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation. He is my Elohiah, and I will prepare him an habitation. My father is Elohiah, and I will exalt him. Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name.
Yahweh is a man of war. So throughout all the peace, throughout all of the good things, the beautiful flowers, the sunshine, swimming with the dolphins, all right? Walking through the feet in the beach, your feet in the sand and the warm ocean water coming up on you. and you can smell the nice breeze that's blowing. The sun is coming on your skin, and little fish are nibbling at your feet. Through all of that, slavery, whippings, blood, murder, births, marriages, going to the club, celebrating anniversaries, eating and cooking, living your life, Yahweh is still a man of war. Which means that when everything is said and done, you're going to see the war side of the Most High. You ain't seen it yet. This generation has not seen it. Those that were in World War I, World War II, they didn't see it. Korea, Vietnam, they didn't see it. It's going to be worse than anything you can imagine. All right. All right, go ahead. So Yahweh is a man of war. This is what we have to understand. He's a man of war. He doesn't seek no peaceful resolution to his problems that he has with mankind. He's going to solve it with war, with blood, and with death. You know why? Because humans are hard-headed, and they want to try to reason and rationalize everything. They want to try to reason and rationalize. I don't know if we can do that one. We can probably leave that one up there. They want to try to reason and rationalize everything. So y'all, you know what? I'm about to kill y'all. Y'all don't want to do what I said to do? You got to die. And that's his power, to kill and to make alive. Okay? All right, let's continue. Verse 4 of Exodus chapter 15.
Pharaoh's chariots and his host hath he cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the reed sea. The depths have covered them, they sank into the bottom as a stone. Thy right hand, O Yahweh, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Yahweh, hath dashed in pieces the enemy. And in the greatness of thine excellency, thou hast overthrown them that rose up against thee. Thou sendest forth thy wrath, which consumed them as stubble. And with the blast of thy nostrils, the waters were gathered together, the floods stood upright as an heap, and the depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil, my lust shall be satisfied upon them, I will draw my sword.
My what?
My lust shall be satisfied upon them.
So his desire was for them to die horrible deaths. Go ahead. Because what? Because they were messing with his people. Because they were messing with his people. So don't think that because you're messing with the Most High's people now, you exploiting congregations, you're making them do things that they say they don't want to do. You're trying to get all the money out of them. All right? You got to wear this. You got to wear that. You got to do what I say to do. You got to ask me. You got brothers that's telling women that they actually have to get their permission before they take a husband. Now, I understand that you need to get counsel, but you're going to tell another woman that ain't your daughter, that ain't your child, that ain't your biological relative, that has a father living, that they have to get, not you got to talk to me first about it, but you got to get my permission to get married to another man. It's a doctrine that's going around in Israel, man.
What?
You messing with the sheep of the Most High, man. So what did the Most High do to Pharaoh when he messed with the children of Israel? He intervened and he destroyed our enemies. And if you are one of them enemies of the Most High that's going against his people, Most High is going to destroy you, man. The Most High is going to destroy you. You have to understand this. If you breaking the commandments of the Most High and you're trying to get other people to do it, Yahweh is going to destroy you. All right, go ahead.
I will draw my sword, my hand shall destroy them.
Now he's gonna draw his, that warfare, that death is what he's talking about. I'm gonna draw my sword. Go ahead.
Thou didst blow with thy wind, the sea covered them.
Mm-hmm.
They sank as lead in the mighty waters. Who is like unto thee, O Yahweh, among the gods? Who is like thee, glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders? Thou stretchest out thy right hand, the earth swallowed them. Thou in thy mercy hast led forth the people, which thou hast redeemed. Thou hast guided them in thy strength unto thy holy habitation.
So what they finding in the land of Egypt I mean, what they finding in the Red Sea, when the famous explorer Jacques Cousteau found Pharaoh's chariots, that ain't nothing. It's stuff that's hidden under the ground that they haven't even found yet. The Most High buried some of that evidence. All right, continue.
Thou hast guided them in thy strength unto thy holy habitation. The people shall hear and be afraid. Sorrow shall take hold of.
Now we understand that the holy habitation, the set apart habitation, was a place where the people were walking in the way that the Most High wanted them to walk in, even when it was in the wilderness. All right. So when it talks about the holy habitation, read that verse from the top again.
Thou in thy mercy hast led forth the people which thou hast redeemed. Thou hast guided them in thy strength unto thy holy habitation.
Unto thy holy habitation. This was before the temple was built. This was before the tabernacle was built. This is the Most High saying the holy habitation of Yahweh was within his safety, within obedience to him. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. What is that secret place? What is that shadow? What is that holy habitation? Faith and obedience. Faith and obedience. Go ahead.
The people shall hear and be afraid. Sorrow shall take hold on the inhabitants of Palestina. Then the dukes of Edom shall be amazed. The mighty men of Moab, trembling, shall take hold upon them. All the inhabitants of Canaan shall melt away. Fear and dread shall fall upon them by the greatness of thine arm.
So the Dukes of Hazzard, the Edomites, the mighty men of Moab, all the Kung Fu masters, and then all the Canaanites, Shaka Zulus. The Most High said that all of them are going to melt away. He said that Canaan's going to melt away. Edom is going to be amazed, and Moab is going to be trembling. So all of our main enemies, all right, the so-called Moabite Chinese, the so-called Edomites, Europeans, the Edomites, so-called Europeans, and so-called Southern Africans, the Canaanites. The Most High said they're going to have fear and dread. Go ahead.
Fear and dread shall fall upon them, and by the greatness of thine arm they shall be still as a stone.
Right.
Till thy people pass over, O Yahweh, till the people pass over which thou hast purchased.
Right.
Thou shalt bring them in and plant them in the mountain of thine inheritance.
Right.
In the place, O Yahweh, which thou hast made for thee to dwell in the sanctuary, O Yahweh, which thy hands have established.
Right.
Yahweh shall reign forever and
Yahweh
ever.
shall reign forever and ever. Go ahead. So he's going to plant us, the people, in the mountain of his inheritance. Go ahead. Which is talking about Jerusalem, which is not in the south, which is where the Jordan River meets the Dead Sea. That's where Jerusalem is, not down south in Tel Arad. Go ahead.
For the horse of Pharaoh went in with his chariots and with his horsemen into the sea. And Yahweh brought again the waters of the sea upon them, but the children of Yasha'Allah went on dry land in the midst of the sea. And Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went on after her with timbrels and with dances.
The timbrel is like a hand drum. It's like a big circular wooden frame, and then they have an animal skin that's drawn over top of it. Some people call it a frame drum. It's also called a hand drum. And sometimes they'll put little lines around it, little cuts in it, and they'll put thin pieces of metal. So it makes a tingling noise, or when it bangs together, like a tambourine. Timbro, tambourine, same root. Okay, so it's a small little drum, small little hand drum, and our people still use them today. Every Israelite church you go to, well, most Israelite churches you go to, whether it's in Puerto Rico, whether it's in America, excuse me, Mexico, they're gonna have a tambourine there. And this is an ancient instrument that the Israelites used. This is an ancient instrument. And some of our people are still using it up to this day. Now they're using it to worship the Most High in a way that he does not want them worshiping him on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, all right, breaking the Sabbath and not keeping the Torah. That's a polluted praise, but they still have that cultural aspect of what the Israelites did. Go ahead.
And Miriam answered them, Sing ye to Yahweh, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider have he thrown into the sea. So Moshe brought Yasha'Allah from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur, and they went 3 days into the wilderness and found no water. And when they came to Marah, they could not drink the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore the name of it was called Marah. And the people murmured against Moshe, saying, What shall we drink? And he cried unto Yahweh, and Yahweh showed him a tree.
So what happened real quick? The condition of what they were facing with transferred onto the people. They were facing a bitter situation, bitter water. So their heart turned bitter against the Most High. Their heart turned bitter against Yahweh. It was a transference. What they saw in that situation, they became. So what you see in the situation, that's what you should become righteously. If you're losing and you're at the bottom, you don't reflect that. You reflect what you need, what you want, what Yahweh have told you in his word. You reflect the scriptures that give optimism and hope and positivity into the situation, and you live in that truth. See, we were living in the lie, living in the illusion. Oh, he brought us in the wilderness, now we're going to die. We should have been living in the life, living in faith, living in the promise. I'm going to bring you out, I'm going to bring you into this land. If we were living in that, we would have known that, oh, we're going to get water, don't even trip. We're going to get water, don't even trip. It's almost like every time you may go into, you just ate a meal, and you may go into the kitchen, oh, ain't no food here. Oh, man, my husband or my wife or my parents, my mother, my father, they're trying to kill me. We don't got no food to eat here. They want us to die. They want us to die. They want to murder us. They want to kill us. We don't got no food. And so just knowing, you know what? We're going to get food. I know they don't want me to die, but we're going to get food. It's not even an issue. You see that? It's not even an issue. So trust in what the word of the Most High has said. Don't get distracted by any temporary setbacks. Don't get distracted about people coming to you and running their mouths about things that are against what Yahweh has already said. Stick to what Yahweh said, that's it. Don't stick to what I'm saying. Don't stick to what your pastor is saying. Don't stick to what your bishop is saying, what your elder is saying. Stick to what the word of Yahweh says. All right? Go ahead.
And he cried unto Yahweh, and Yahweh showed him a tree.
See, the leadership did what? The leadership cried out to the Most High to help solve a problem. The leadership didn't say, well, y'all got to deal with that. Just keep paying me the tithes. Now, leadership, okay, Yahweh, can you help solve this problem? You know what? Yahweh, I know what the solution is. The solution is for me to make more videos, me to get a bigger camp, increase my membership, and get more tithes coming in. That's going to solve the people's problem, right? So you got to look at this. How are you solving the problems? Spiritually. And it's one high level of solving the problems that ain't nobody going into. But we're going to start to go into it more often. And that way to solve the problems, I won't hide it from you. That way to solve the problems is chakmah, through wisdom. How do you solve a problem through wisdom? By walking in what wisdom says. And by knowing that the counsel of wisdom is the counsel and the breath and the word of Yahweh. And when you do it, you get the results that the verse says you're supposed to get. But it's a lifestyle. It's a way you must walk. Okay, all right, go ahead.
Which when he had cast into the waters were made sweet.
So the Most High showed us a tree, Moses' tree, and that tree made the water sweet. Some people say it could have been like a licorice, something like that. We don't know exactly what it was. All right, go ahead.
There he made for them a statute and an ordinance, and there he proved them, and said, If thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, and wilt do that which is right in his sight, and wilt give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I'll put none of these diseases upon thee, which I have brought upon the Egyptians, for I am Yahweh that healeth thee.
So he said, if you do what I say to do, I'm going to protect you. And we didn't do what he said. So he stopped protecting us. Just like when you go into Puerto Rico, when you go into the national forest over there, El Yunque, the story is that there was a god that lived in El Yunque, and his name was Yahya. And he sat on a golden throne at the top of the mountain. And he was surrounded, he lived in the clouds, and he had rainbows around him. And he said that they believed that this God told them, if you do what I say, I'm going to protect you. If you don't do what I say, I'm not going to protect you, and your enemy's going to come, and they're going to conquer you. Same thing the Most High told us. And that's in Puerto Rico, in Yunque National Forest, and it's a forest now. Right, but the Most High tells us, do what I say to do, and you'll be okay. So we entered into that covenant. So we don't have any room to try to renegotiate with any doctrines or any people or any religions or any denominations that want us to go against the covenants of the Most High. And we surely can't break them covenants that we made with the Most High. We can't break them covenants. We can't break his laws and his commandments. And I think when people get in a habit of breaking the laws, breaking the commandments, they become comfortable being disobedient to the Most High. And when they're comfortable, they try to make you follow along with breaking the commandments and laws of the Most High also. And that's what you see going on in Israel today, man. It's almost like you have a child that's always wanting to go in and sneak and eat the ice cream from the freezer when everybody's sleeping. After a while, another child comes in, hey, what you doing? You eating that ice cream in the freezer? We ain't supposed to be doing that. I know, but it's good. You want some? And you don't want that? It's good too. Here, take it. I don't want that. Put it on their lip a little bit. That's kind of good. Or, no, we ain't supposed to be eating that. You're breaking the covenant. You're breaking the law. You see that? So which one are you going to be? The one that joins in on the fun, which is wickedness, or one that said no and corrects that person and reproves that person for the wrong that they're doing? You're going to be peer pressure? You're going to just follow the crowd? Or you're going to stand up and be ridiculed and be persecuted and be attacked because you want to do what the right thing is? Go ahead.
Well, that's 26.
Okay, 26. All right, let's start over again. Let's go into
Exodus 15, 27.
let's go into the fifth aliyah. 1 month after the Exodus, our provisions ran dry. We complained to Moses, and he mentioned and then we mentioned the flesh pots in Egypt that we left behind. And Moses said that bread is going to rain down from heaven in the morning, and that meat is going to be provided for us every night. Exodus chapter 15, verse 27 through 16:10. We're already going to man. 15:27. Exodus chapter 15, verse 27 through Exodus chapter 27, verse 10. Exodus chapter 16, verse 10. Go ahead.
And they came to Elim, where were 12 wells of water, and 10 palm trees, and they encamped there by the waters.
And they came to Elim, where there were 12 wells of water, and 70 palm trees, and they encamped there by the waters.
Carlos,
Kal Asherah.
Kashra Bar
Kal Asherah Bar Yahweh,
Marshal Nashmai.
Na'esha wa Nashemai.
All Yahweh said,
All that Yahweh has said,
and do here.
what we do in here. Chapter 16, verse 1 through 10.
And they took their journey from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Yashala came unto the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after the departing
After their
departing out of the land of Egypt. And the whole congregation of the children of Yashala murmured against Marshal and Aharon in the wilderness, and the children of Yashala said unto them,
Would to Elohim we had died by the hand of Yahweh in the land of Egypt when we sat by the flesh pot. So a month after, about 30 days or 29 days after us in Egypt. See how wicked our people are? They saying, well, you know what, I wish we would have died in the wilderness. All right. And when we did eat bread to the full, for ye have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill us, to kill this whole assembly with hunger. All right, verse 4.
Then said Yahweh unto Marshal, behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day.
So he said, go and gather your bread every day. Go ahead.
That I may prove them whether they will walk in my law.
So give us this day our daily bread. So the Most High is going to give us a way to see if we're going to walk in his instructions or not, if we're going to go against him. Verse 5.
And it shall come to pass that on the 6th day they shall prepare that which they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily.
All right, so on the 6th day, they have to gather twice as much. Go ahead.
And Moshe and Aharon said unto the children of Yashala, at even then ye shall know that Yahweh hath brought you out from the land of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And in the morning, then ye shall see the glory of Elohim,
For he heareth your murmurings.
against Yahweh, and what
So likely. Start from verse 7 again, please.
And in the morning, then ye shall see the glory of Yahweh, for that he heareth your murmurings against Yahweh. And
And what?
what are we that ye murmur against us?
So Moses is saying, you're not hurting me. Most High is going to deal with this. I didn't make these rules up. Torah.
And Moshe said, This shall be when Yahweh shall give you in the evening flesh to eat, and in the morning bread to the full. For that Yahweh heareth your murmurings, which ye murmur against him, and whatever are we?
And what?
What are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against Yahweh.
So when you have somebody that's representing what the Most High has said, you know, you got a brother saying, hey, you're not supposed to work on a Shabbat, man. And the other brother said, man, we in captivity, be out there on the streets. Who's he talking against, you or Yahweh? Huh? This is the actual question I'm asking. Is he talking against Yahweh or you?
Yahweh.
Who gave that rule? Yahweh gave the rule. Who gave the rule? So who's he talking against? Huh? He's talking against Yahweh. He's not talking against you. Brother, I'm telling you what Yahweh said that one brother can say to the other brother. And the other brother can say, well, brother, I understand, but I'm in captivity. So basically saying, you know what? I don't care about the God that created me enough to sacrifice what he wants over what I want. He's going to have to come second. I'm first. I'm putting myself before the Most High. Right? It says, La'a yahayalaka alahayim akayim ilpanya. You shall have no other powers before me, right? So when you put yourself above in front of the Most High and say, well, he ain't gonna do it, I'm gonna do it for myself, who are you making your power? Huh? You making yourself your power. So if Yahweh is supposed to be your power, and you saying, well, I'm gonna take care of it myself, I'm not gonna do it Yahweh's way, who are you putting before Yahweh? Yourself. So you making yourself your own God. So you're still breaking a commandment. You're not just breaking the Shabbat commandment, you're breaking the commandment of not having any other gods before the Most High too, because you're making yourself a God. You saying that I'm gonna do, a God is a power. And if you trusted the Most High with your power, you would do what he said to do, no matter what happens. You see, that logic, that twisted, crazy logic is what makes a man go to jail and be like, well, you know what, I'm in jail. If I give it to the man, if I put my private part into a man's body, then I'm not really gay. He's gay because he's taking it. I'm not gay though. That twisted, evil logic, trying to rationalize doing something wrong. It's the same logic. Well, I'm in captivity, so I can do this now. See, the Most High understands because I'm in captivity. What was the capital punishment? It was a capital offense to work on a Shabbat. It's a capital offense for a man to lay with another man in any type of sexual, intimate, any type of I like you a lot type of way at all, period. I want to get my rocks off with you. I want to have fun with you. I want to do things with you that a man does with a woman or a boy does with a girl. That's wicked, and the penalty for that was death. So now you got two capital crimes, but you trying to say, well, I'm in captivity, so I got to do this. What about the guy that's in jail for life saying, well, I'm in here for life, so I got to do this. I got to be with another man. I'm not getting out. He got a better argument than you because he can't get out. You can go out and find another job, or you can go to a shelter, or you can go to a family's house. You can get you a little tent someplace. You can stay in your house and try to file appeals or continuances to get more time before you go to court to try to get on your feet to find another place. So you have a way to change that. And it's a death sentence hanging over your head in the heavenly courts when you break the Sabbath day. So that man that's in jail that says that, well, I can't get me a woman, I'm in here for life. So I'm gonna have sex with another man. Both of y'all can get the same penalty. So don't try to rationalize breaking the commandments. Don't try to rationalize. Now, if you're gonna mess up in your brain, in your mind, say, you know what? I messed up. I did something that was against the laws of the Most High. Don't get a spirit of pride and say, well, yeah, I did this, but the Most High, he really doesn't mind because I'm in captivity. Woo, that's my get out of the jail free card. Man, you worked on the Sabbath, we in captivity. Captivity card accepted anywhere the laws of the Most High transgressed. Hey, brother, man, what you doing buying on the Sabbath? I'm doing the Lord's work on the Sabbath, so I can buy and sell and go to somebody who got their business open on the Sabbath, and I can take advantage of their ignorance, and I can get me some water, some juice, and some chips, because I'm in captivity. What place was open in Israel on the Sabbath for you to buy and sell? None. Maybe inside the Roman Fort Antonia, that they call the Temple Mount now. Maybe there was, so what you did, you want to go inside the fort now. You want to go inside the Roman fort and you want to buy and sell from the Romans on Yahweh's holy day. That's what you want to do now. So the whole world is now like a Roman fort. And you want to go and buy and sell because they open. Are they breaking the laws of the Most High? So how you not breaking the laws of the Most High? By supporting them breaking the laws of the Most High. You see that? So the Most High said, I'm going to prove you to see if you're going to walk in my commandments for this 6th day, get double. En el sexto día, toma doble. Porque va a estar disponible doble por la mano del Altísimo Yahweh. On the 6th day, get double, because double is going to be available by the hand of the Most High Yahweh, el Altísimo. ¿Verdad? Y según su palabra, tenemos que vivir. Si ganamos o si perdimos. According to his word, we got to live. If we lose or if we gain. If we win or if we lose. Hay que vivir por la palabra de Yahweh por todos modos, en todas cosas que hacemos en la vida. We have to live by the laws of the Most High by all means in anything that we do in life. We can't go outside of that. We can't go outside of his commandments and laws and statutes. Okay, go ahead.
And Moshe spake unto Aaron, saying to all the congregation of the children of
Let's slow
Yahshua,
down. You in verse 9. Okay, go ahead.
come near before Yahweh, for he hath heard your murmurings. And it came to pass, as Aaron spake unto the whole congregation of the children of Yahshua, that they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of Elohim appeared in the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
That was verse 10.
Okay. All right, let's get the next reading. Now this is verse 11 through 36. The meat which came from the quails appeared in the evening and covered the whole Israelite camp. In the morning, the bread, called the manna, fell from heaven between 2 layers of morning dew. Moshe told Yasha'Allah to gather 1 omer of manna per household member every day. But no matter how much they picked, when they got home, it ended up being 1 omer. Okay? Moshe also commanded the children of Yasha'Allah not to leave any manna over from one day to the next. Some of the people said, you know what, we're going to do our own thing. We're going to leave manna over. And the next morning, the manna had worms in it, like maggots. It was infested. Now on so-called Friday, during the daytime, everybody picked 2 omers. And Moshe explained to them that the second portion was set aside for the Shabbat day, when no manna would fall. They didn't pick up the manna on the 6th day, so-called Friday. They tried to go out on the Shabbat and get the manna. They tried to say, well, I'm going to break the Shabbat. I'm going to go get the manna on this day. Yahweh got angry because of our disobedience, and Yahweh commanded Moshe to take a jar, a container of the manna, and place it inside the tabernacle that they were going to construct, they were going to make, that we were going to build, and make that as a testimony for the new generations to know that this was the Most High gave us in the wilderness. All right, this was the Most High gave us in the wilderness so we could see it and understand it, could be described. Before Shabbat starts on the 6th day. Sometimes you may fall short of that. Sometimes you may fall short. Sometimes you may, but you have to learn from when you fall short and do better the next week. And you have to have other people whose job it is to make sure, okay, this Shabbat, we need to have, for example, when Sunday comes, what are we going to have on Shabbat? What are we going to cook? Well, I think we should have some chicken salad, maybe some chicken salad, maybe a vegetable, a fruit salad, and we can have some wraps. We can have some wraps. We have the wraps, the tortillas, spinach tortilla with flour, and we can wrap that up. We can eat that. Sprinkle some cheese on it or whatever. We can eat that. Okay, so make sure by this day, all the ingredients that we need to cook, we need to get on this day. All the ingredients that we don't need to cook, we need to get on this day. Anything that's gonna be that we're gonna eat raw, like lettuce, tomatoes, carrots, all right? Vegetables like celery, cabbage, all these things you can make a beautiful filling salad with. You need to make sure that those things you buy them where they're not gonna go bad. So when the Shabbat comes and the sixth day comes and you say, you know what? It's your job to make sure we got the salad. It's your job to make sure we got the wraps. It's your job to make sure the cantaloupe, so we can make our fruit drink on the Shabbat too. Okay, and it's gonna be your job to make sure that we have the cake. You make the cake on Thursday, and we're gonna put that to the side, and we're gonna have that for the Shabbat also. We got the cake. It's your job to make the cookies. Your job is gonna be to make the cookies. Okay? Now your job is to get the cheese rolls, get the cheese and cut it up into the cubes, and get the grapes and make sure we got celery and peanut butter. All right? It's your job. So we have all these things already planned out before the Shabbat, and that's the principle that Yahweh is teaching us. One of the principles. Be prepared for the Shabbat before the Shabbat comes. So you don't have to scramble around when the Shabbat is about to come. This is my week and how I felt this week, blah, blah, blah. Fight it off and don't make an excuse for it, because if you make an excuse for it, it's going to keep on coming to you and happening. But when you fight off, say, nah, that ain't acceptable. I'm not supposed to be living like that. I'm supposed to have not my own depression, my own sadness. You free yourself from all those things on the Shabbat day. You're not supposed to carry any burden. That includes the psychological burden on the Shabbat day. It's a day of rejoicing. It's a day of resting. It's a day to baptize yourself in the word of Yahweh. To do his will. All right, go ahead, Martin. Verse 11.
Exodus chapter 16, verse 11.
Exodus chapter 16, verse 11.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, I have heard the murmurings of the children of Beshalach. Speak unto them, saying, At even ye shall eat flesh, and in the morning ye shall be filled with bread. And ye shall know that I am Yahweh your Elohim. And it came to pass that at even the quails came up and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay round about the host. And when the dew that lay was gone up, behold, the face of the wilderness, upon the face of the wilderness there lay a small round thing. They said one to another, It is manna, for they wist not what it was.
So man is like, what is this? Manna. All right.
Which Yahweh hath commanded. Gather of it every man according to his eating.
Right.
An omer for every man, according to the number of your persons. Take ye every man for them. Take ye every man for them, which are in his tents. And the children of Yasharallah did so, and gathered some more, some less. Leave of it till the morning. Notwithstanding,
We're going to be disobedient when we don't see the miracles of the Most High anymore.
and when the sun waxed hot, it melted. And it came to pass that on the sixth day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moshe, and he said unto them, This is that which Yahweh said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Shabbat.
Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Shabbat. Go ahead.
unto Yahweh.
Unto Yahweh. So we keep the Shabbat for Yahweh, but it was made for man. It wasn't made for us. When the scripture says the Sabbath was made for man, man was made for the Sabbath, but to do our own thing, it was made for us to do what Yahweh wants to have done. All right, go ahead.
Bake that which you will bake today, and seethe that which you will seethe, and that which remaineth lay up for you to be kept until the morning.
In any form, fire underneath of it is a form of baking. So you can't get around baking and boiling. Because even when you bake, guess what? You still it's a form of inside. It's getting heated up and then it's expanding. And that's called boiling. So when you boil, you just say, hey, I got some water, I got some vegetables, food. So baking and boiling are two primary elements of cooking. When you fry some fish, is the grease baked or is the grease boiled? It's boiled. When you use a microwave, is the food baked or is the food boiled? Both. Because it's the water on the inside that causes the food to heat up. That's why inside is hot and the outside is cold. Because the microwave, and they can kind of start to cook that top layer first because on the outside. All right, go ahead. So baking and boiling, he said gathering twice as much, which means what? Birthday. Now, if you got an apple tree, man, apple tree, grip me an apple. Yeah. But say, yeah, let's go harvest some good food. It's a task. It's a labor from the Shabbat day, for the Shabbat day. Find it in the fields. Why was it in the field that day? And let's read verse 2. Genesis 10, Elohim ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. Yahweh shall rest even for me. So even Yahweh said, I'm not working on that. That's that even I am not going to come in on a Shabbat day, do something for you, which is me working for you and giving you something. And when you prepare everything on the sixth day, this was going to have to be done. Prepared, sixth day, still there for you to eat. And that's what 73:16 says what? Quick side note. Let me ask y'all a question. Was the book by inspiration of Yahweh? And it's probably all good works. So this story is the correction that we should be using to determine what we can and can't, should and should not do. Is the principle. Prepare on the Shabbat on the sixth day. Why would anybody oppose that in their right mind? That really.
On the seventh day, which is the Shabbat, in it there shall be none.
Because it's the rest. He's resting and he's showing us to rest. There shall be none. Don't go out there looking for this gathering.
People on the seventh day for to gather, and they found none. And Yahweh said unto Moshe,
Yahweh has given you a day to rest. He has made a way.
Abide ye, every man in his place.
Now, people say, oh, you still got to abide in your place.
Let no man go out of his place on the seventh day.
I want y'all to go ahead and gather now. Holy convocation. And don't we see in the book of Luke, the Most High told us to go ahead and gather together when you haven't been around a woman that was, on getting rid of the convocations. And Shabbat would say, well, yeah, that's what we got past. Convocation that it tells us about is the convocation about the Sabbath. You have to have a real biblical Israelite convocation. And the main purpose, that's the reason we have so many doctrine disagreements amongst our people, because nobody at the Torah was read every Sabbath day. Which when you read the Torah, All topics are proven. Like, we can have a conversation about the Torah and about, what are the laws about that? That's in the Torah too, specifically. You see? Naturally, you're going to absorb it and teach other people. How you yourself going to guide your family the right way when you don't know what the Most High says. That's how many in dreams and orders. But you have to know what has the Most High said. Okay?
Exodus chapter 16, manna. And it was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it. And made the most strong. So Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept. And the children of Beshalach did eat manna 40 years, until they came to a land inhabited, where is a 10th part of an ephah. And called for a home.
I said for 40 years, we no longer had the manna. Right, so here we see that the Most High fed us. He met all of our needs. We were in tune with what was going on, and there was a quick judgment. I brought it. He's using so-called white man more than we fear what Yahweh is going to do when we disobey him. But fear Yahweh, who can destroy your body and your soul. Journeyed further as they arrived in with his staff. Water came pouring out of the rock, and Yashar'Allah drank it. The Amalekites battle against of a lot of their, being usually worldwide, they're all Amalek. The ones that are at the top of the governments are Amalekites. All right, Bush, Clinton, a nation, a powerful people. Then years later, they converted in about 135 BC. Before that, you had the Greek Empire, Romulus and Remus of Macedonia. They were all Amalekites. Now, Amalek. So those are the ones that came to attack Israel from the Torah. It says that we are going to eat. So, chapter 17.
Their journeys according to the commandment of Yahweh, and pitched in Rephidim, and there was no water for the people to drink. Therefore do you tempt Yahweh? And the people thirsted for water, and the people murmured against Mashah, and our cattle with thirst. And Mashah did cry unto Yahweh, saying, what shall I do unto this people? They be almost ready, elders of Yashar'Allah, and thy rod wherewith thou smote.
Yahweh said, behold, I will stand before you there upon the rock in Horeb, and thou shalt smite the rock. And complaint or beef, chiding.
Then came Amalek and fought with Yashar'Allah in Rephidim. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of Elohim in my hand. So Joshua did as Moshe had said to him, and fought with Amalek.
So they went to war. So Moses said
that Yashar'Allah prevailed, and when he let down his hand, and Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the stick in the ears of Joshua.
Right? Usually you take them in war, right? But you can't have there are other uses for it. Okay, so you're gonna have war without a lot of money, without the best houses. Sometimes you have to cross a bridge to get to them. Okay, but we haven't been murdered. The so-called European in America, he wanted to straight up murder to him. It's a miracle that he didn't get that plan accomplished. Okay? Maybe, oh man, they all drowned. Or, okay, yeah, good. They drowned. We're going to get the victory. Right? So don't even get upset or bothered or sad when we see things. Now, when you follow a lunar Sabbath, you can't 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The next day, that is a new moon, and you say, well, and then there's one day, there's a 30-day month, that's a regular work day. And then you say, I mean, that's not every 7 days. It doesn't say one day, then every 7 days, every 7 days, every 7 days, every 7 days. On the next day, which is a new moon, you keep it as a Sabbath day again. No, it says 7. And then you have a 1 day week. 1 day week. And you work, but so every time, every month you violating this doctrine that's worth its weight in even discussing, can be discussed through and with the Torah. Any doctrine that's going to impact we trust. Okay? So we tested the Most High. We tempted him. We got mad at him. We said we wish we'd go back to, man, why I come into the truth when I came into the thing, whatever I wanted. Morpheus, welcome to the real world. See, the world you live in where everything wrong with all your family and friends, which is not true. Extended slave in America wearing, you didn't know who your ancestors were. You had a Gentile name. You see? You might want to change your name to, you don't have your own name. So that illusion that the Gentiles spread forth about what is the right thing, that Moses was a part of. This other world where everybody's singing Mary Poppins songs every night. James 4:4.
Chapter 4, verse 4.
You're
Adulterers and adulterers.
an adulterer. When you hate your brother, you're an adulterer and love the Most High. And we just we should be living. Say, well, the Most High did this, Most High did that. No, brothers and sisters. When the Most High said to do something, that's what he's saying to do, period. You can't rationalize any type of discipline.
Is enmity with Allahayim.
It's enmity with Allahayim. It's against the Most High. That's what it's saying, period. So you can be them, and you can try to fathers made with Yahweh. You can bring them back to the I'm gonna take her to work because I'm her friend and she needs to go to work. I'm gonna take my mother to church on Sunday so she can worship white Jesucristo, which is an idol, because that's my mother and I'm supposed to respect her. No, whoever loved their mother and father more than me is not worthy of me. See, Yahweh always comes first. All right, so that's that right there. When we look into the 531, it describes the fall of the Canaanite general Sisera and his armies, this is equal Red Sea, and then the songs being sung. Were being persecuted by King Jabin of Canaan and his general Sisera. And take with you 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali, which is Argentina, to you to the brook of Kishon, Sisera the chieftain, or the chief, the general. And then Barak said, well, you got to roll with me. So Deborah said, I'm going to go with you. And together they led the attack against the so-called South America. It is the so-called black people that are in South Africa. Somebody told Sisera that the Israelites were Muslims. The defeated general, he ran on foot and he came to the tent of Jael. All right. The wife of Heber, the Kenite. Used for a stake, a tent, and you nail it into the ground. And it's the next chapter of the Haftarah is the song of Deborah, which describes us through that victory. All right, so let's go into Judges chapter 4. Chapter, and then I can read 1 through 31. Okay, that's 21 verses, and the rest of the chapter to read when you start at 4. Go ahead.
Lapidoth, she judged Yasha'al.
Did the men come to ask her questions about women?
And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah. And she sent and called Barak, the son of men of the children of Naphtali and the children of Zebulun.
Again, Zebulun is the ones Yucatan, and then of course Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua.
Multitude, and I will deliver him into thy hand. Notwithstanding, the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor, for Yahweh shall sell Sisera unto the hand of a woman, and Deborah and men at his feet, and Deborah went up with him.
Now, at his feet meaning under his command. So we see these phrases, but this is showing that these men were in order as our general. He's going to lead us into the war. So Barak was leading with example. Go on.
And he went up with 10,000 men at his feet, and Deborah went up with him. And Heber the Kenite, which was of the children of Hobab, the father-in-law of Mom,
Go on.
so the way on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, for there was peace between Jabin, the king of Hazor, and turn in, my lord, turn in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, she covered him with a mantle, and she said unto her, give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. She opened a bottle of milk and gave him drink, saying, is there any man here that shall
So Yashar'Allah, he's the general of the army. You the biggest, strongest dude, Goliath, kill him. You see? And there's a lot of different things going on in Israel. What's the one thing we're supposed to be using? Specific. That's what we're supposed to be going by.
Then Jael, Heber's wife, took a nail of the tent into the ground, for he was fast asleep. And
So she took that nail, that peg, that stake from the tent, drove it through. Hey, y'all. Oh, it's a dead fish. Oh, it's a dead quail. She took this nail and hammered it through his head. And they came looking for Jael. Oh, he fell asleep. Yeah, he fell asleep. Why didn't you drive a stake from her? She said she didn't want to break her nails, so that's why she didn't do it. But when he came in, what happened? Well, he came in, he went to sleep. Well, when he was asleep, why didn't you kill him? Because he's murdering our people. Well, I don't know.
Jael came out to meet him, and said unto him, come, and I will show thee the man whom thou seekest. And when he came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and the nail was in his temples.
The nail was in his temples. Go ahead. Right here. She took the little nail stake and put through here, went through his skull, went through his brain, and came out the other side. So if anything, she probably did like to keep getting splattered. And then after that, she just bam, bam. Because once you hit it one time, ain't nobody getting up. Or who knows, the thing could have been so sharp on the end and so sleek that she could just came down with one hard strike, and it just went all the way through his head into the ground or into whatever it was he was laying on. All right, go ahead.
So Elohim subdued on that day Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the children of Yashar'Allah, and the hand of the children of Yashar'Allah prospered and prevailed against Jabin, the king of Canaan, until they had destroyed Jabin, king of Canaan.
They destroyed Jabin, the king of Canaan, so we kept on fighting. All right. So what is it? Onto chapter 531, which is the whole chapter. So I'll read the rest of the chapter, the rest of the Haftarah. Is this okay right here? Then sang Deborah and Barak, the son of Abinoam, on that day saying, praise ye Yahweh for the avenging of Israel, when the people willingly offered themselves. Hear, O ye kings, give ear, O ye priests. I, even I, will sing unto Yahweh. I will sing praise to Yahweh. Alahaya of Yashar'Allah. Yahweh, when thou wentest out of Seir, when thou marched out of the field of Edom, the earth trembled, and the heavens dropped. The clouds also dropped water. The mountains melted from before Yahweh. Even that Sinai from before Yahweh, Alahaya of Yashar'Allah. In the days of Shamgar,
the son of Anath, in the days of Jael. The highways were unoccupied, and the travelers walked through byways. The inhabitants of the villages ceased. They ceased in Israel until I, Deborah, arose. Until I, Deborah, arose. That I arose a mother in Israel. They chose new gods. Then was war in the gates. Was there a shield or spear seen among 40,000 in Israel? My heart is toward the governors of Israel that offered themselves willingly among the people. Bless ye Yahweh. Speak ye that ride on white asses, ye that sit in judgment and walk by the way. They that are delivered from the noise of archers in the place of drawing waters, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of Yahweh, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his villages in Israel. Then shall the people of Yahweh go down at the gate. Awake! Awake! Deborah. Awake! Awake! Utter a sound, utter a song. Arise, Barak, and lead thy captivity captive, thou son of Abinoam. Then he made him that remaineth, have dominion over the nobles among the people. Yahweh made me have dominion over the mighty. Out of Ephraim was there a root of them against Amalek after thee. Benjamin among thy people. Out of Machir came down governors. And out of Zebulun, they that handle the pen of the writer. And the princes of Issachar were with Deborah, even Issachar, and also Barak. He was sent to on foot into the valley. For the divisions of Reuben that were great thoughts of heart, why abodest thou among the sheep fields to hear the bleating of the flocks? For the divisions of Reuben there were great searchings of heart. Gilead abode beyond Jordan. And why did Dan remain in ships? Asher continued in the seashore and abode in his breaches. Zebulun and Naphtali were a people that jeoparded their lives unto the death in the high places of the field. The kings came and fought. Then fought the kings of Canaan in Tanakh by the waters of Medigo. They took no gain of money. They fought from heaven. The stars in their courses fought against Sisera. The river of Kenash swept them away. That ancient river, the river Kenash, O my soul, thou hast trodden down strength. Then were the horse hoofs broken by the means of the prancings of their mighty ones. Curse ye meadows, said the angel of help of Yahweh, to the help of Yahweh against the mighty. Blessed above women shall Jael, the wife of Heber, the Kenite, be. Blessed shall she be among women in the tent. He asked water, and she gave him milk. She brought forth butter in a lordly dish. She put her hand to the nail, and her right hand to the workman's hammer. And with the hammer she smote Sisera. She smote off his head. When she had pierced and stricken through his temples. At her feet he bowed, he fell, he lay down. At her feet he bowed, he fell. Where he bowed, there he fell down dead. The mother of Sisera looked out at a window and cried through the lattice, why is his chariot so long in coming? Why tarry the wheels of his chariots? Her wise ladies answered her, yea. She returned answer to herself. Have they not sped? Have they not divided the prey? To every man a damsel or two, Sisera a prey of diverse colors, a prey of diverse colors of needlework, on both sides, meat for the necks of them that take the spoil. So let all thine enemies perish, O Yahweh, but let them that love him be as the sun when it goeth down in his might. And the land hath rest 40 years. All right, so we see 40 years in the wilderness, 40 years they had rest after that situation. We see that the Gentiles were attacking us, just like they did in Exodus. We see that after Miriam made a song, and here we see that Deborah made a song. It says that Zebulun could handle the pen. One of the most extensive writings that we have of mythology and covering some of the history of the tribe of Zebulun was written by them. So they still handle the pen. And that was called the Popol Vuh. It said Dan was in ships and boats. They got Garifuna Indian, they got Inugu, they got Kalipuna in Trinidad and Central America, Roatan. They love to be in ships. They love to go out and they fish and they stay in the boats. They stay in the boat overnight. They're going to fish in the water just to get away from everything. So the tribe of Dan is still doing that. Naphtali, Jeopardy, and Zebulun putting their life in danger, fighting from the high place of the fields. That's what Naphtali was doing in Argentina and Chile when they were fighting against the Spanish invasion. They were on the mountains fighting and hiding from the mountains. And they would fight from the mountains, then go back into the mountains to their headquarters, and the other people, the European and Spanish, and the Israelites they recruited, they didn't know their way up in the mountains, and they didn't have the skill and the balance to go into those mountains. And then when you go into Zebulun stood up against the government of Mexico. Zebulun stood up against the government of Spain. That's why they call it the highland of Mexico, the rainforest of Chiapas, high above in the clouds. And they rose up against the government recently and said, you doing us wrong, we're gonna rise up against you and fight against you, all right? And they rose up. So, and they are situated again in the mountains. The government can't mobilize a whole military force into the mountains, and they can't just, because of the rocks in the mountain, it's cliffs on every side. So you can't bring no land vehicles. And if you bring air vehicles, you might find yourself in a Taliban Afghanistan situation where they control the mountains, they know where the breezes come through, they know where the passes are going to be calm and cool, and they can shoot you down off of your planes before you even see them. And then you could do like the U.S. government did in Vietnam and just say, you know what, we're going to just drop Agent Orange or napalm on everybody. And that's how they did conquer the war. But Zebulun, Central America, Chiapas, Brazil, Guatemala, down to Panama, they like to take their fight to the mountains and from the mountains. And the Mapuche in Argentina and Chile, they did the same thing. Okay? So those are kind of two of the tribes that it talks about where we have a lot of information about how they fulfilled the things that it's saying about them. And then of course of Dan, now Asher abiding in seashores and abiding in breaches. The breaches are the little streams of water that come off of the river. So how does Asher abide or dwell in the seashores? All right, in the breaches, because Asher builds something called palafitos. And the palafitos are houses built on the water. So everything we read about these brothers doing and things that are related to them in the ancient world, they carried a lot of those same characteristics up to today, tribe of Asher. You know, Venice was built on water, and they had houses off to the side of water, but they went through the city on the boats. That was unique about Venice and Italy. That's how Venezuela got its name, because it reminded the European conquerors of Venice, Italy, because they had streams of water that were used as roads, and then the houses were built on the water and on the side of the water. But the water was the main road, the main highway to get from point A to point Z. Okay, so that's how we see that Asher has the same type of characteristics that they had in the ancient world. All right. And then it talks about my people is for the governors that offer themselves willingly. So we had governors that said, I'm going to go out and serve the people and work for the good of the people. And we don't have governors like that on the level we had in the ancient time. We don't have no more Baraks from Judges chapter 4 and 5. We don't have no more Deborahs from Judges chapter 4 and 5. And if we did, Israel would be in a much better state. But don't worry, the leadership that we need to guide us back to repentance, guide us to victory, and guide us to obedience to the laws of Yahweh is coming back. Those leaders are going to get risen up again. They're among us now. But it's just that the leadership that's in top is trying to snuff out that leadership that's going to rise up and bring people back to the Torah. All right? So that's that. So now with the Beshalach is Matthew chapter 14, verse 22 and 23. And I'll read that also. Matthew 14, 22 to 23. Matthew 14, 22 to 23. Matthew 14, verse 22. 22 to 33. And straightway Yahushua constrained his disciples to get into a ship and to go before him unto the other side while he sent the multitude away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, and the wind was contrary. And in the fourth watch of the night, Yahushua went unto them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, It is a spirit. And they cried out for fear. But straightway Yahushua spoke unto them, saying, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water. And he said, Come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Yahushua. And when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, saying, Lord, help me. And immediately Yahushua stretched forth his hand and caught him, and said unto him, O ye of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. And they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, Of a truth, thou art the Son of Yahweh. Now when they worshiped him, they just bowed down and did obeisance to him like you would do before a king. Don't mean to worship saying, oh, you give me food. They worship, they bow down, like, bow down. Bowed their body to them. Or they might have got on their knees and bowed to him, in that manner. So scripture says, La'ata isha pasal wa la'ata ibadam, which means you shall not make false gods, you should not serve them, you should not worship them. Serve them in the sense of, can you do this? I'm going to do for you so you can do for me. But to show, respect to somebody, you see bowing down going throughout the whole Bible. Joseph is bowing down, all right? Joseph is bowing down. Joseph's children are bowing down. Jacob's children are bowing down as a sign of respect, all right? So here we see that we have to walk in faith. Storms around us, we have to stay focused on the mission. And that's one common theme we see from Moses to Barak and Deborah. They stayed the course of righteousness and obedience to the Most High. They didn't let nobody shake them or move them in the wrong direction. Yahushua said, just have faith in me, faith in the Most High, and faith that I'm gonna do my job, like children and like brothers that's working together. If you got a brother that's working with you, and he's supposed to bring, you know, and he's supposed to bring 300 pounds of dry cement mixture, you trust he's gonna bring that to you to get the job done. And Most High saying, trust me the same way. That Yahushua did what he was supposed to do to get the job done for us. And through his sacrifice, now we're healed by his stripes. All right, through his denying of himself, we live. We live in Yahushua, in Yahweh. Because Yahushua is the life. We can't go to the Father unless we go through him. Not through Muhammad, not through no other man that walked on the earth after him, but we have to go through Yahushua HaMashiach. All right. And the one commandment, well, we had a couple of commandments, but one was not to leave your home on the Shabbat. And we see that Leviticus, the Most High said, now I want y'all to get together to have a holy convocation. All right. And the other thing that we see is that the Most High said, gathering doubles on the Shabbat. So when the Sabbath comes, when the Sabbath came and when the Sabbath comes, you will already be ready and you will have everything set up for the Shabbat day. Okay, you everything ready for the Shabbat day. All right, so I think God did the Shakarit. We did Shakarit, right? Shabbat Shakarit, right? Not the Minka, right? Oh, it's supposed to be Shakarit. All right, so that's what we got for today. And I'll see if anything you want. May the Most High Yahweh bless, heal, protect, and strengthen. Parashah, Chazak, all of our people, 12 tribes of Israel scattered throughout the four corners. And for you Gentiles, whatever, you got enough people praying for you. You right? We don't got nobody praying for our people worldwide that's being oppressed. So to those that's trying to do the work of the Father in all nations, those that do good works and those that call upon Yahweh and Yahushua, may the Most High have mercy upon your souls and give you the righteous reward that you seek if you seek the righteousness of the Most High. All right, so it's about Shalom, Shalom Nakama.